I had been living with X-Clan. They were actually supposed to be taking care of me. About 14 years old at the time that I actually moved in with them, around 14, 15. So I lived in one of their offices on 226 Ashland Place. That was downtown Brooklyn. And I believe X-Clan was on tour at the time, but they had just gotten off a tour. I was at the office answering phones like I normally did. And one of the sisters from Blackwatch Movement came to pick me up. Her name is Tamaya James. And she told me that Professor X, or what we called him Master Overseer, wanted to see me. And I asked her what was the reason. She said she didn't know, so I figured we were just having a meeting. So we took a cab over to the hotel. It was like on a 40-something street in Manhattan. And took the elevator up to the room. And it was Professor X and about maybe 6 other brothers there. There were about 7 in total. And she dropped me off to the hotel room, and then she left. So it was just myself there and Master Overseer and a few other of the Blackwatch Movement members and some of their security. They were still members, but they were security. And I remember that day distinctly, like it was yesterday. I was actually, at that time, I don't know if you remember the name brand Cross Colors. It was a black-owned company called Cross Colors. And I specifically had a purple striped jumper. That, like young kids wear jumpers. So I had that on. And Master Overseer told me to take my jumper off, which I did. And then they sodomized me. I think I probably was numb, after the first couple of guys. And when they were done, he basically told me to go into the restroom and clean myself up, which I did. I was so ashamed I couldn't even look in the mirror. I just was just there, just cleaning myself up and trying to get myself mentally, to deal with it, because I'm like almost 15 years old at this time, never experienced anything like this, and just I guess my body was more in shock than anything. And I just remember me bleeding and trying to, just get myself together. And then when I came out of the room, Master Overseer told me that I was his golden child. Whatever that meant, I'm not sure what that meant at the time. And his cousin had come from, I think it was North Carolina or South Carolina. And he was staying at the office with me as well. So he took me, Professor X told him that, I deserved. And basically, I guess in his own words, he was trying to say that I earned my meal. So, I guess for all my hard work. And he told his cousin to take me to, I believe it was Fridays or Applebee's, I'm not sure, but it was downtown Brooklyn. And so he took me there, and we ate. And we pretty much just went back to the office. But that was that particular situation.
At what point did you say, I need to tell somebody about this? And first of all, when did this occur? What year was this again?
This was in the 1990s.
This was in the 90s, okay.
And it was my first year in high school. I was 14.
And
I
Brother
was
Jay,
attending boys and...
I'm sorry, Brother Jay and Professor X, did they take part in this?
Yes, well, at that particular, with that particular situation that I talked about in the hotel, Brother Jay was not there. He was not at that particular situation, but Professor X, which is Master Overseer, he was there. Sugar Shaft, the DJ, the one who died of AIDS, he was there. And a few other people from the Blackwatch Movement, which were males, were there.
Oh, so there were other incidents that occurred then?
Yes, it happened when I was 14, my mom put me out. I was cutting school, being a teenager. And because, my dad had left, he was on drugs, crack had, really taken over him. And, she had 3 kids to raise. So I guess, she really did the best that she could do. She actually met Master Overseer with her ex-boyfriend. They came to the office, the one that was on State Street when they first opened up. And she met with him. And she basically told me she didn't get a good feeling from him, but she never told me that I could never go.
What part of Brooklyn? You're from Brooklyn?
Yes, I'm originally from Brooklyn, Bedford-Stuyvesant.
Yeah, I'm from Bed-Stuy. I lived in Bed-Stuy as well. And I know where State Street said. I went to New York City Tech, J Street and Borough Hall, but I left in 1982. And I'm sorry about your experience. Oh, my goodness. I mean, I'm sitting here, almost in devastation, and I can imagine, what you went through, because the same thing happened to me, but not, but just one guy, but were you able to talk about it?
When after?
Yes.
It took me some time. The first really spoke to in detail about it was Dr. York's son. They was a friend of mine, and he was the first person that I spoke to, probably around 93 or 94 or something like that, that I spoke to him in detail and told him everything that had happened.
That is hard, and I understand the shame. Woo, and even though I was raped, like when I was, 13, by a grown man, he was a young man, and I am still devastated, so, and it's hard to think about it, and I know the shame that a lot of women, I've been posting about women and rape and children being molested basically all day, and this is such a coincidence. This is I am a woman's activist, and what I do is I work with women because I know that women are being targeted by men. Excuse me, Press. Scott, but wow, this is really heavy. Being 14 years old and being molested by several men, that is totally devastating to me. But
I mean, it was, I try to when I do tell the story, I try to get people to understand that with a situation like this, me being young and not, at 14, you don't have the mind of the adult. Your brain is still actually in a growing process, and you're not going to make decisions at 14 that you would make at 32. So
exactly, and you're 100% correct, but it's just the idea that that they would do something like that to a child. I mean, I can imagine how you, like you say, you was bleeding and,
I mean, it was pretty devastating. It's, I still to this day, I have nightmares,
I can imagine, sweetheart.
I still have to seek therapy on a regular basis. I still have to take medication every day. So it's called hyperarousal. That's what my doctors called it, when you're fighting in your sleep because you're thinking that these people are attacking you. So I over the years I've been in and out of the hospitals, for suicide attempts on several occasions. But I'm at a place now where I feel just a little bit stronger, and I feel like I'm able to speak up and tell my story. But like I told on Poppy, that wasn't the first time. Like I said, it happened over years, and even before that, my cousin was molesting me from age 8 until the age of 12.
Wow.
And then my tutor was trying to molest me, and then my grandfather's nephew was trying to touch me, and then that's when everything happened with Blackwatch and X-Clan. So it was kind of like I had already been through it. I had experienced it, but not to the degree
Right.
that I did with them. With them,
well, you know, they say,
for me,
not cutting you off, they say a woman is to be raped at least 3 times in her life, you know,
right.
and I mean, I can imagine, and, you know, and on top of all of that, you know, being out in the street, parents don't understand what they be doing to their children when they throw them
Right.
out of the house. You know, that right there is devastation by itself. You know, when you have to wonder, people just take advantage of you, and you was just a kid.
Right.
You know, you were just really
like
a
I said,
baby.
it was my first year in high school. I was attending Boys and
Yeah.
Girls High School at the time, and
on Jefferson, not Jefferson, Boys and
X.
Girls High, across from Utica, the train station. Yeah.
Yes, the A train. Yes.
Yeah, that's
And
the area
the
that
principal,
I lived
Mr.
in
Mickens. Yeah, Mr. Mickens, the principal of the school, kept telling me to leave them alone. He was like, he would see Sonny Carson up at my school. This was before I stopped going though. And he would say, "Why are you dealing with those people? They're bad news." And I would say to him, "I don't have no other place to go. They're basically raising me and taking care of me."
Where do I know that
I had
name at?
Sonny Carson.
Sonny Carson.
He was a political activist. Yeah, he was a political activist for many years.
I remember.
He has a movie
and I
called
used
The
to
Education
hang out with
of
him
Sonny
myself.
Carson.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knew all about everything that was happening, but instead of him helping me when I was trying to get out at the end, he offered me sex in order for me to be well taken care of. So he knew everything that was going on, and he didn't try to do anything to assist me.
Wow.
He did nothing. He just allowed it to continue, and like I said, it continued for a number of years. Professor X had me on drugs. I had the usage, things like that, alcohol. I was being forced to use, I guess, to get me inebriated or whatever, so that I'm not in my right mind. But, again, I was really young at that time. I don't remember every single thing. I can tell you what I do know. But the other is been left out, due to the trauma.